Good morning, YouTubers. Glad you're with us today. Welcome. We are recording today the 151st episode of the Family Meeting Podcast. So thanks for joining us. Let us know what's going on in your life. We are curious to know about your marriage. How long have you guys been married? Because today we're kind of celebrating the fact that we just had a 20th anniversary and we celebrated by having a vow renewal. And we're going to talk to you about that today. So tell us how long you've been married. Okay? You want to talk about our week?
What?
Do you want to talk about our week? Because we're pre-recording this.
Well, I think we need to talk about the fact that you're leaving me. After 20 years of marriage, you're leaving me.
I am. Thomas woke up today and was like, this is the worst day ever. Because we're pre-recording this episode because next week I'm going to be in Iowa. My sister's having surgery, so pray for her. She's in recovery by the time you're going to hear this. But I'm going to just kind of help her through her surgery and just do whatever she needs, whether it's cleaning or cooking or friendship, whatever she needs. But that means I'm not here to cook and clean and be your friend.
Yeah.
So Thomas is a little depressed today, to be honest.
I'm going to be all alone.
With your 4 daughters and your doggy.
All alone.
The kids will take good care of you. They already are planning on cooking for him and just taking care of him. I'm going to be managing the household from Iowa. I have to call him every night and tell him what he has to do the next day and where the girls have to be.
Because I have no idea. She was trying to tell me all this stuff in advance, and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to remember this by the time it comes.
Yeah. He doesn't do that kind of stuff. That's what I'm for.
I know somebody's going swimming, somebody's playing volleyball, somebody's watching a movie sometime this week.
Yeah, those are some of the things.
So.
Anyway.
But y'all pray for me.
Yeah, pray for Thomas. Pray for my sister.
My wife's going to have the grandest time ever.
It's not exactly a party.
Going on a 20th anniversary trip without me.
To Iowa. To the hospital. But anyway, let's get this episode going. I'm always the one. Have you guys found this pattern yet? I'm always the one who's like, all right, come on.
This is our life, though. You're always trying to rush on to the next thing instead of enjoying the time with the people that are in front of you.
When people tell me, live in the moment, I'm like...
I'm just trying to enjoy time with the people in front of me. The people that I care about. And that care about me. You're worth my time. Are they not worth your time?
They're worth my time. I love you, YouTube. I love you, all of you beautiful viewers.
That sounds so fake.
I do. I love you, but... I also know that the reason that you turned this on is because you want to hear the episode. No, that's our purpose.
No, they wanted this. They just wanted to see this.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, they do. It's like bright and early in the morning. They want to see my baggy eyes. And
you look rough this morning.
I feel rough.
I do have to say this. I just found out like last week that our amazing, beautiful friends, Katie, Grayson, and Lucy sometimes watch our YouTube.
Oh, really?
And I didn't know that. And so I was like, oh, wow, I got to give them a shout out. So hi, Lucy. Hi, Grayson. Hi, Katie. We love you so much. That's for you.
It was fun having you guys here, too. They're
the best. I wish you were still here. I hate that you left. You could just stay here forever.
The house next door is for sale, right over here.
Tell your parents.
Move into the house. So they need to be regular guests on the podcast.
Yeah. Oh, they would kill it on the podcast.
I know.
Okay. Someday we're going to do that. Actually, Lucy's already been on the podcast. Go back and listen to episode 10 and you will hear Lucy on the podcast. But we haven't had Katie and Grayson on yet. So we'll have
They could tell all the family secrets. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun. Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. You have to start. So
all right.
Feel free.
Yep. Anytime.
You are a trying man.
I am trying. Gather round, everybody. It's time for a family meeting. The Family Meeting is a show that's all about family relationships. We're the Osterkamps. I'm Sleepy, and this is my wife, Rushy.
Hello, and welcome to our family. Welcome to episode 151 of the Family Meeting Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to share our experience with renewing our vows. August 2nd marked our 20th anniversary of marriage. And to celebrate, we decided to renew our vows on the beach, and it was gorgeous. It was a beautiful, perfect day. So we were super happy about that. And we want to talk to you about what we did, what others have done, what we would change if we could go back. That way, if any of you may be considering doing a little vow renewal, we want this episode to be kind of like a resource to you.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to this conversation. Before we get there, I just want to encourage you to jump into our Facebook group if you haven't done so already. We have some interesting conversations.
Yeah, that is true.
We had one this past week that every time somebody posted something, I was cracking up. And I just want to share some of these with you. So the question that was put out there was, what's the weirdest thing that you have had to say to your kids?
I love this question, and the answers are fabulous.
So those of you on YouTube, maybe you could put that in the comments, the weirdest things you've had to say to your kids.
And I think that we've all been there. I know that both Thomas and I have been there. I'm sure you've been there too, where you're like, did I just say that? Like, you can't believe you had to say this thing to your kids.
Yeah, so here's what Drew said. Probably, please don't say fart, poop, or butt in public places. And then he says this. They get their potty talk from their mom, Chloe.
Okay.
I bet that's true.
I doubt that that's true, but
I've met Chloe.
I will. Stop.
Potty mouth.
No, she's not. Okay, but we have had those conversations with our daughters too, where I'm telling them not to say those words in public, and you are basically just saying those words.
Heath says a couple of things. He said, first of all, stop hitting your head against the brick wall. I have no idea what that's about, but that's funny.
Kids.
And don't eat your flip-flop. Robert said, Blaine, why did you take Sissy's diaper off and smear crap all over the wall again?
No.
Yeah.
Again. Did you hear the word again?
Yeah. Oh, here's one associated. Amanda said this. Well, my daughter just the other day took her poop diaper off and sat on her older brother. I had to tell her to stop rubbing poop on Bubba.
Oh, man.
Tim said, why are you naked on top of the bookshelf? Hannah, stop singing the word butt cheek. I'm telling you, there's so many more.
Yeah, you got to go on there.
I was just cracking
They will
up
give you such a good laugh.
the things that our kids say. And these are things like you never dreamed in your life when you were becoming a parent that you'd have to say some of the things you have to say.
I put on there, we don't touch dog poop, because there was this one walk that we were going on. The girls were all very little, and I don't even remember which sister it was. It
Don't pick up dog poop, right?
Yeah, it might have been. We're walking along, and literally they're like, they'd find dog poop and try to pick it up every time, and would sometimes successfully pick up the dog poop before I could be like, stop. And I'm like, we don't pick up dog poop. And I'm like, did I just have to say that? Why would I have to say that? You never think when you're going to be a parent, you'll say some of these crazy things.
No.
But seriously, that online group is super fun.
All right. So let's talk 20 years. First of all, people are shocked.
Yeah.
They're shocked that you could spend 20 years with me in marriage.
I can't believe it myself.
I know.
Actually, it's been amazing. I love it.
All right,
I'm so happy.
Those of you who weren't at the vow renewal, which is most of you because we kept it pretty small.
Yeah, it was teeny tiny.
But at the very end, my friend Ryan, who kind of led the vow renewal ceremony, asked Lysandra, do you still take this man to be your husband or whatever? I forget what he said.
Something like that.
So rather than saying I do, Lysandra looks off into the far off wonder like, do I?
Do I want to do this again?
Should I? For the next 20 years. I think the video is on our social media somewhere.
It is. I posted it on my personal page.
But, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. People were laughing. I did it completely out of the blue as a joke. I had no intention of doing that. But in that moment, I was just like, oh, I got to get Thomas. You deserve it. You're so mean to me all the time.
That is a lie.
So I had to get him back somehow. So I made him wait a little bit. During those few seconds where I was thinking about it, did you think I might say no?
No.
Yeah, we've got a lot of trust in each other. So I knew I could play with him.
Yeah.
It's all right.
But as we talk about the vow renewal itself, and here's something that you need to think about those of you who are considering doing a vow renewal, or maybe you've never thought about it, and this will be your chance to think about it. The question is, why would you want to do a vow renewal?
Right.
Why did you want to do it? So, Lysandra, I'll kick this over to you. Why did we want to do a vow renewal?
Well, I can't speak for you. I'll speak for myself, and then I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
You didn't even want to say yes. We still do. So
yeah, that was a joke. So I think it was around year like 8 or something. We may have been married around 8 years. A couple of friends of mine, who I was friends with on Facebook, they did a vow renewal, and it was their 10-year anniversary. So it was a much shorter milestone, a half is what we did.
I will say, if you go to 10 years, well done.
Yeah.
So
every year is great. Every year is an important milestone, but
year 3 isn't.
They did. You're lucky I lasted 3 years. So yeah.
I know, yeah. And especially those who have read the book are like, yeah, I can't believe she lasted 3 years. Never mind 20.
Exactly. Well, honestly, it was harder getting through the early years than it has been these last few years, because you're such a better man now than you were when we first got married.
First of all, I'm an amazing man.
You are an amazing man. But you were not. You were not when we got married. And our book, Happily Never After, really does talk about that.
Available on Amazon now.
Just to be clear, I also was not an amazing woman back then. I had all these problems.
You've always been amazing.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Anyway, so they posted their vow renewal pictures, and they didn't have. I don't even know if they had guests. All I remember is they were on a bridge. She had this tiny little bouquet of red roses. They were dressed really casually, but like she had a pretty dress, And I thought to myself, oh, that's so beautiful. Look at them. That's so nice. And I think what I noticed about them in their pictures is they looked very relaxed and just happy. Like, you know how your wedding day can be very stressful.
Totally.
You're young, and there's nothing wrong with being young or anything, but I think that when we were younger, we didn't fully understand how to deal with stress like we do now. And we also understand what's really important. Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff that's not important. The older you get, the less you think is important, I think. And so they just had this, it looked more like a personal celebration than it did like about the big party and the big to do. So when I saw that, I thought, oh man, I really want to renew our vows someday. And at that point, I came to you and talked about it. And I don't know if that was the first time you ever thought about that, but
probably.
Okay. Cause we talked, cause we were like in year 8, and we were like, well, why don't we do it on year 15? We had kind of talked about doing it year 15 for a while, and year 15 came and went, and it was just like not going to happen. But the Lord knew. He had timing, and I'll explain to you later why I think that it was good that we waited for year 20. But I think that those pictures of that vow renewal was what put it in my mind, and I thought, wow, I really want to celebrate our marriage where it's just like more relaxing and fun and like just calm and enjoyable. Okay. So that was me. Nice. Okay, how about you? Why did you want to renew our vows?
For me, it was all about the recommitment.
Oh, you have a much better reason than me.
Yeah, totally. Like I said, I'm fantastic.
You are a better man than I am.
I'm glad that I'm a better man than you are a man.
Yes.
But when we were younger, I had an idea of what love really was. I had an idea of what kind of commitment that I was making. But now that we're 20 years in and we have been through the highs and lows, we've been through just about everything that you could possibly go through. Mm-hmm. With kids, and a couple times you almost losing your life. So for me, it was all about recommitting, celebrating, yes, what's happened in the last 20 years, but really focusing in on the rest of our life together. And we'll talk about our actual vows in just a little bit here, but let's move on to Why the day, the date, and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, because if you guys are thinking about renewing your vows and you talk about it, okay, this is why I want to renew our vows, and then your spouse is like, okay, yeah, I can get on board with that. I think that it would be good to renew our vows because of this. So you've decided you want to do it. Next thing you've got to choose is the date, the day, the time. When are you going to do this?
So for us, it was a Wednesday.
Yes, which is super bizarre. Who does a vow renewal on a Wednesday? Well, Tom, because I didn't know. I was flexible with like whenever. I was like, I don't know, do we want to do it on a Saturday? And he said, no, we're doing it August 2nd.
And she's like, why August 2nd? That's weird.
What's important about August 2nd? I did know that was our anniversary. So yeah, that's our anniversary. That's the day we got married 20 years ago.
So I've been planning this for a long time because we talked about doing our vow renewal. So I wanted to have our vows renewed on the exact day.
Yes.
So in January, some of you saw the videos and the pictures. In January, 20 years to the exact day that I asked her to be my wife, I re-proposed.
It was so sweet. It was on the beach. I had no idea. He gave me a new engagement ring because my previous one, I'd lost the stone out of it years ago. And so it was so special. He re-proposed the day of.
It was after church. It was on a Sunday after church. Yeah. And I was like, we started driving towards the beach after church instead of going home to lunch. And she's like, where are we going?
And we had company coming over.
We did,
and I was like, oh my goodness, honey, we really don't have time for a walk on the beach. But yeah, okay, whatever you say. So that was really romantic. Thomas is amazingly romantic, way more than I am. So it was important to him to do it on the day of. To me, it didn't matter. I didn't care when we did
August 2nd is just another day for her.
No, that's not it at all. I'm not like you in that like things have to be on the day, which that's going to happen in your marriage. Your spouse and you are not going to view things the same. Of course, you already know that. But when that happens, just talk it out and figure out, okay, how can we compromise? The way we compromise is I did it Thomas's way.
Yeah. So you saw the value in it once I talked to you.
I did. So we talked it out. We knew we were going to have it August 2nd. And then this is so funny because we're talking about this in January. And I said, oh, pictures would be really pretty at sunset. Like the lighting is really pretty at sunset. And he goes, you do realize sunset in August in Florida is
it's like 8 o'clock at night.
No, I think it was like 9. Yeah. I mean, by the time, it's like more like 9. And we're both in bed at 9.
Yeah.
We are not going to be doing that. And we wanted to have food for people. And so we weren't going to make people wait to eat till, 9:30 or whatever. It just wasn't going to do. We weren't going to do evening. The other thing to consider is that in Florida in August, it is unbelievably hot.
It's warm.
So that means we knew we had to have it in the morning if we weren't going to do it in the evening. So we chose Wednesday, August 2nd at 10:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Weird time, but we're weird, so that's fine. All right, so from there, how did we go on from there? I mean, the most important thing for us was that we talked everything out. We planned things together. Yeah. And in our first wedding, like our actual wedding, we did this too. Thomas was very involved in the planning of our wedding.
Yes.
He cared. I know some grooms don't care. Thomas cared. And we enjoyed the collaboration of planning our wedding, and we did that for our vow renewal as well. Yeah,
it was a lot of fun, and it gave us an opportunity to kind of relive some of the things from our actual wedding.
Yeah, it was fun.
And so just spending that time communicating about the vow renewal, it brought up all the stuff from the past and gave us more things to talk about and reminisce about. And then, of course, there were the things where we were like, okay, at our wedding, we did this, but that really wasn't that important.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads me to this question, and I'm kind of curious to hear. Maybe we have some people out there that they're listening, they're not even married yet. Maybe they're planning their wedding. What are some things that you learned through the whole vow renewal process that if you could go back over with that knowledge and plan your actual wedding 20 years ago? What are some things you'd say, hey, this was really not important, don't worry about this. This is important, do this.
Yeah. So this was a question on the family meeting online a while ago. What would you change about your wedding? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you change about your wedding? And there were so many answers that were the same as mine. Get a good photographer.
Okay.
So the only thing that I realized, like, what was so important to me was photographs, because I am that person who will lay in my bed before I go to sleep and just look at photos and relive moments. I love the photos of my children when they were little, and I'll just relive family days or whatever else. And so photos are really important to me. And I don't think I really even knew that when we were getting married.
Yeah.
Maybe. So definitely getting a good photographer. And then I really don't have hardly any regrets about our wedding. It was really nice and simple and whatever, but it wasn't fancy at all, but we aren't fancy. The other thing is we got up early, did hair and makeup. I did my own hair and makeup at our wedding and my vow renewal. I'm not like super girly girl. Abigail painted my nails for our vow renewal.
Yeah.
She did a great job. Anyway, so so we got up super early on the day of our wedding. Thomas and I met, and my dad took snapshots with just his regular camera at the garden where Thomas proposed and where we used to spend a lot of time before we were married. And then we went to the church, and the actual photographer showed up. We took pictures. Then we did the wedding. Anyway, I didn't plan for any food the whole day. I had no food the whole day. And nowadays I do a lot better. Food is not as important as it used to be, although I still struggle with it. But stop.
I didn't say anything.
But back then, I thought I was going to die. I was 18 years old. I had no food all day. I thought I was going to die. And so I would have planned to have some food for myself. Other people brought food for themselves, but I didn't bring anything for myself. So those are the things that I think are important: food and photography.
Yeah.
But that sums me up.
Here's what I thought was funny, because we've planned a wedding together. Now we planned a vow renewal together. And in planning the vow renewal, we had this driftwood arch that we built together. And we're like, okay, we want to use that, and we're going to set it up on the beach. And we planned to make sure we had help to set it up on the beach and get everything ready to go. What's funny is what we still forgot. We forgot to get people to help us take it apart and clean up the beach after it was all over.
We almost had to do it completely alone. Thankfully, we had a couple of friends who came back and were like, "Oh, you guys are cleaning up?" We're like, "Yeah, we can't leave this on the beach." We totally forgot to have people help us afterwards. Which, that's classic us, though, because we are used to planning events and being the workers.
Yeah.
And so we're not great with planning for help.
I will say this, and this was a constant in the Facebook group question as well, and it's something we wanted to focus in on, was just enjoying time with the people that we love that were there, and making sure that we spent that time together. So if you're planning a wedding, make sure you plan time to celebrate with the people who are there with you. Or vow renewal, hey, take time in that intimate setting to just spend time together.
Let me just say, at our wedding, Thomas didn't even want to have a reception. He tried to convince me not to have a receiving line. Yeah. He tried to convince me it was unimportant for us to cut the cake. He just wanted to get married and go to the hotel. It was terrible. I had to fight and claw for every moment we spent at our reception, which was like 15 minutes.
It was way more than that.
Yeah. So, Mr. Spend time with the ones you love. Yeah. You did not at our wedding.
I wanted to spend time with the one I love.
Yeah, exactly.
Naked.
I know, exactly. So, yeah. But okay, so let's talk about points of planning. So maybe you want to do your vow renewal. You have to ask each other what's important to you. And that was the first thing that we did as we started to plan and communicate about everything we did. What's important to you? We had to talk about that. So write all that down. Then here's some points of planning. The first thing that I did is I went online and looked at vow renewal do's and don'ts, and there's a million of them. There's so many vow renewal do's and don'ts lists.
Okay.
So I just read a couple of them, things like don't expect gifts at vow renewals. And I was like, yeah, I'm surprised that people would. I honestly didn't expect a single gift. At weddings, you traditionally bring a gift to a wedding.
Yeah, that's the thing, yeah.
Yeah. There were a lot of do's and don'ts. Some we listened to, some we didn't. But don't, on the invitation, don't say like that the parents of the people renewing their vows are inviting you to the ceremony. Because you know how you do that in wedding invitations?
Yeah.
So just like little things like that. And it was kind of interesting. It made me think. So I would recommend, though, going on and looking at do's and don'ts. And then the next thing that we had to talk about was a budget. How much are we going to spend on this thing?
As little as possible.
And that was the answer. As most things in our life, it's like, how can we do this the nicest and the cheapest?
Yeah.
So where it doesn't look like trash, but it's super, super cheap. And I'd like to say we did a nice job.
We used most of the stuff that we already had.
Yep.
You went and got dresses for the girls because the girls stood up there with us.
Which that was so special. That was really precious. So have your kids standing up with you is amazing.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to have them included. Food to feed everybody. Mm-hmm. It was a fairly cheap thing for us because we had pretty much everything already.
Yep. So the girls and I each carried like a little bouquet that we handmade together, which was super fun to put together with my kids. They all made their own bouquet out of flowers and greenery that I already had from other church stuff and whatever.
And you guys had a really fun time making those together.
We did. So I'll tell you what we spent on our vow renewal. Thomas, do you know?
I have no idea.
I know you don't.
I'm hoping you're not going to say $80,000.
How would we spend $80,000? Where would that even come from? No, it wasn't.
Your $79,000 dress.
No. We spent about $430.
Okay.
Okay, $430.
Most of that on Starbucks and the planning committee?
No, none of it on Starbucks. So the dresses, I'll give people a quick breakdown on where the money went. The dresses cost between $15 and $30. I think the highest one was $35, and we had to buy 5 dresses because I got one and the girls got one. 3 of them came from Bell's, which is a little store here, and 2 came from Amazon.
I wore what I already had.
Thomas wore what he wore in our last family pictures, so we didn't spend any money on him. The girls and I wore wreaths in our hair, and those cost between $5 and $15, depending on which one they chose, and we got those from Amazon. The biggest expense was the food.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the menu and how we picked that, but ultimately we picked what we could make that was had no labor the day of, and that was fairly inexpensive. And we spent about $200 on the food because we had to we had people come from out of town. It was very important to me that we fed our guests.
Well, we wanted to spend some time with them, so food's a great way to do that.
Exactly. So we did have food. And then I did spend about $100 on decorations just to add in some things, such as our little vow renewal books that if you watch on YouTube, you can see I'm holding up right now. One said her vows, his vows. I did buy like that. And I bought like a picture frame for a prop, and we bought a sign that said, we still do
yeah.
Lysandra and Thomas August 2nd.
See what I'm saying?
Sorry.
She has no idea.
I don't know why I said 8th. August 2nd. So there were little odds and ends that I purchased as decorations, which totaled around $100. So basically it was about, and we got a little cake for the top that my amazing friend and neighbor, Shelly, shout out to Shelly, was like super insistent that we have a cake to cut.
Yeah.
She was super insistent. And I was like, okay, we'll do it. And so the day before, we went to Publix and ordered this little cake that sat on the top of the tiers of cookies that my mom made.
It was like my dream cake.
It was kind of cool. It was because it was last minute, but it was perfect.
It looked like waves around the edge. There was sand on top with 2 beach chairs sitting on top of it.
It's perfect for us. And
so since we're talking about cake,
okay,
I have to say this because we cut the cake. And one of the things we talked about at our actual wedding was, hey, let's be nice. with the cake.
Yeah.
Because you see some, and it's just like, I don't understand how you can go into marriage treating this person this way. Now, maybe if that's your relationship and everything, but I know I didn't want to do that to you on our wedding day.
Yeah, I didn't want that back then either.
So we didn't talk about this at all because it was literally the day before. So we cut the little pieces of cake for each other, and I'm being nice, just like I was at our wedding day. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Lysandra shoves cake all over my face.
Yep.
And the frosting for the waves was like purple and blue and all these really deep, dark colors. And I'm like, are you serious? Are you doing this right now?
So, of course, in true Thomas style, he had to smash the cake in my face even more. So, like, mine was, like, up in my eye and eyelid and eyelashes and everything.
You started it.
I did, but you know who made me do it is Shelly. Shelly was in the other room, like, you promised me, you pinky promised me that you will smash it in his face. I was like, I don't know if I can. And she's like, pinky promise. And so I did pinky promise. And I was like, I got to do it. So it was her bad influence on me.
Yeah.
But he deserved it.
Blame other people.
You guys know how he treats me. He puts eggs on my head and everything. He deserves it. So I don't regret.
I would never do that to you.
Yeah.
But I did throw her in the pool later on in her dress.
Yes.
So I got her back. But she had to wash the cake off her face.
You waited until the end of the day, so that was fine. I wasn't mad. It was surprising though. I was videotaping the kids playing in the pool, and so he didn't know, but I videotaped
her being pushed in the pool. It was very funny to go back and watch and listen to.
Yeah. Why don't you tell people how we planned the location?
Well, we wanted to be on the beach. I wanted to get married on the beach our first time, but we had like no money at that point. So then we're trying to figure out which coast, because we have my best friend. Thank you. My best friend is on the other side. He pastors over on the Gulf side, just a few miles from Siesta Key Beach, which is one of the nicest beaches in the entire country. So we're thinking about, okay, do we have it over there? But we decided this coast just because it was more convenient for us. More of the people that we knew would be here that are in our lives right now. And so we talked to one of the ladies in our church.
Who's like a sister to me. She's amazing.
She lives like a block away from the ocean, and where she lives, they have their own little private entrance to the beach and everything. And so it was a perfect setting for us to be able to do what we wanted to do. She offered her house.
She is so amazing. The
to
most
get
generous
ready
people.
To have the food and the fellowship, and everybody can come over, and she's got a pool, and so people could go swimming, or they could go to the beach, or just sit there and hang out. So Sherry and Jeff were like so generous to us on our day. Took care of so much stuff for us. But that's kind of how we got the location. We knew it was going to be on the beach, and then it was like, okay, what's the most convenient way for us to be able to pull this off?
Convenient and inexpensive, because you can get down here. You can get beach venues where they block off the beach and they do all this, but it's thousands and thousands of dollars. And of course, we don't have that and had no desire to spend that much anyway. And so this was such a wonderful opportunity that Jeff and Sherry gave to us, and we will be grateful to them forever. So we had to choose the menu, and my plan was to cook because that was all about saving money. And we feed large groups of people often, so it doesn't stress me out even a little bit. I bought over several months, I bought big pork loins and put them in my freezer, and then the week of thawed them and slow cooked them in my crock pot, shredded them. We did pulled pork sandwiches. That way, the morning of, all we had to do was turn on the cooker and let it slow heat up. We did a big vat of party potatoes so that there again, I could make those the day before and just heat them up the day of. We had a veggie tray and a fruit tray. Fruit cut the day before. Shelly, my amazing BFFN, best friend and neighbor, cut up the vegetables and brought those, and she offered to make dips, and they were amazing. We had my mom make a bunch of cookies, so that was our dessert. And then we had a cooler full of drinks and water, and that was it. That was the entire menu, and it stayed on budget. All right, so let's talk photographer and videographer.
So as we've already mentioned, photos were probably one of the biggest regrets from our wedding is not hiring somebody out to do all of that had a lot of experience doing that. And so this time around, it was very, very important to Lysandra to make sure that we had a good photographer to be able to do this. And so our photographer the last couple of years has been Kimberly Hunt Photography.
She's awesome. Check her out.
Yeah, she does great. So if you're ever in the area and you need photos, she's who we use. We highly recommend her, and she was great. And one of the things that you really loved about the whole process was thinking about and planning and researching the photo shot list that you wanted for that day. And this is something we recommend for people, whether it's your wedding, whether it's you're renewing your vows or some other special event, even if it's just your own family photos. Like researching the shots that you want and then making sure your photographer knows what you want. But
And we decided not to go with a videographer. We just both decided it wasn't important to us. So we were both relieved to not have to worry about that. We highly recommend having a schedule. And I'm going to read to you very quickly what our schedule was. Remember, Thomas mentioned that we created and built our own driftwood arch out of driftwood we found at a lake. We had used this in my sister's wedding. And so at 8:00, we arrived at the beach and set up the arch and the aisle. 8:45, we went back to the house and got dressed at Sherry's house. 9:30 were pictures. 10:30 was the ceremony, and our ceremony was very simple. We walked the aisle to music, and I let Thomas pick the music for the aisle, and he surprised me the day of. I had no idea what it was going to be. You want to tell people what you chose?
Starship, nothing's going to stop us now.
Yeah, it was so sweet. Like when I came close enough to the speaker to hear what he chose, I was like, oh, nothing is going to stop us. It was so nice. So we walked down the aisle. The girls walked down by twos, and then we were behind them. Ryan did a very beautiful little, maybe 3-minute speech.
Little challenge, yeah.
We exchanged our vows, and we're going to tell you what those were in just a minute. He then did a prayer of blessing on our marriage, announced that we could kiss, and then we walked back down the aisle. We had pictures then with friends and family at about 10:45. The ceremony was very slow because it was standing only, and it was very hot. Then we took the arch down, and we went to lunch and had a pool party at Sherry's house by 11:30, and that was the entire schedule.
The kiss might have been the longest lasting thing in the whole
ceremony.
And then your dad's like, all right, that's enough.
It was very cute. Yeah, and I think he did that at our wedding too.
I think so.
Not a whole lot's changed. One thing, though, that we both made a commitment to is that we were not going to let anything or anyone ruin our celebration or make us stressed out.
And I had to remind you about that once or twice.
I felt like I had to remind you about that when the arch wasn't going as according to plan. I felt like both of us we were on the verge.
Yeah.
We still didn't let anything ruin the day. But there were a couple of bumps where it was like, oh my goodness, this is not going well. But in the end, nothing ruined the day. Like, it was fantastic, and I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it was great. All right, so some people weren't here to hear the vows. So this recommitment, let's hear what was your vows.
So I went first because I didn't want to be like crying, and I knew it was going to be hard. Actually, I did start to tear up at the beginning.
So we had men's leadership group last night, and we were talking about marriage and family. And so the topic of weddings and all that kind of stuff came up. And one of the things that I mentioned to the guys who were there, was the fact that our society has completely lost the purpose of showing up to a wedding, or the purpose of showing up to a vow renewal. Is you're saying by showing up, you are going to hold this couple accountable for the vows they're making to each other. Like, that's the point of showing up. And if you're not going to do that, then don't show up, because that's really what it's about. And so the vows are super important. And so by listening to this podcast episode, you are saying you are going to hold Lysandra accountable for the vows that she has made to me for the next 20 years of our life.
Okay. So I took first of all, we did traditional repeat after me vows in our wedding 20 years ago.
Yep.
So this was kind of fun to get to do, like almost like a little speech to each other. And so I really took this as an opportunity to thank Thomas for the man he has been over 20 years.
No one's going to even believe that this is about me when they hear it.
I know, because you really have a bad rep.
Are you going to cry?
I'm going to try not to cry. Okay. I did start to cry the day of. All right. Here's what I wrote to Thomas and what I said on the day. Okay. 20 years ago when I married you, I thought you would love me, but you love me deeper than anything I've ever experienced. When you look at me, your eyes are full of love, and I think I must be the luckiest girl in the world. 20 years ago, I thought I'd be happy in this marriage, but I've been happier than my wildest dreams. You bring me peace, safety, love, companionship, and so much fun. I thought you'd be a godly husband, but you've transformed into a man who follows Jesus with all your heart. You lead our family to love God more. You lead men to Jesus. You influence pastors to follow God closer and love their families well. You allow the Holy Spirit to guide you, and you follow him wholeheartedly. 20 years ago, I thought you'd be faithful to me, but you have surpassed my desire for faithfulness. You have eyes for only me. You never have given me a moment to question your integrity in our sacred marriage relationship. You are undoubtedly mine and mine alone, and I'm so grateful for that. I thought you'd be a good daddy to my girls, but you have exceeded any and all my dreams of my child's father. You love them so beautifully. You provide them safety, discipline, fun, stability, and guidance for them. I thought 20 years ago we'd be a team when we got married, but we're more than that. We work seamlessly with one another in literally every aspect of our lives. There is nothing in our life that we don't attack and conquer together. You are my one and only teammate, and I love it. I thought you'd be my friend, but you are my best, closest confidant. I love spending time with you. My heart still skips a beat when I see you. I still get excited to spend the day with you or go on a date with you. Your friendship makes our marriage unbelievable. You have exceeded all of my hopes and dreams in this marriage. I'm so grateful to God that he led me to marry you 20 years ago. I do not regret a moment with you. I look forward with anticipation to our next 20 years together. I love living my life with you. Thank you for pursuing me, for proposing to me, marrying me, and giving me this amazing life. I loved you then, and I still do.
And beautifully well written. I don't know who that guy is, but
it's you.
He sounds nice.
You, baby. It's you.
He sounds amazing.
Yeah. I felt bad though because I didn't really vow anything to you. I just was like so happy and thankful for the 20 years that we've had, and I kind of looked at it that way. So I didn't really vow anything to you, but I do plan to still, be married to you and stay faithful. So that's my real vows.
Wow, great. That's awesome.
All right, you had some beautiful vows to me. Why don't you share those with all of us? Your vows were absolutely beautiful. You began to cry.
I did. I did held it together though. But I just for those of you on YouTube, I'll show you. I just do bullet points.
Yeah.
So Lysandra has hers word for word. I typed it out, printed it out so she could
print it out, put it in the little vow book because I knew it'd be windy.
So whatever I say right now is not going to be exactly what I said then. It's the same way when I preach. I don't have written down every word that I'm going to say. I kind of have the key things I want to hit. Are you going to try to recreate though? It's not exactly. It won't be exactly the same.
Okay.
Proverbs 18:22 says this: "He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord." In you, I didn't just find a wife. I found a teammate. Somebody that I get to do life with. Somebody who helps me to accomplish everything in life that I need to accomplish. who's always there for me, supporting me, loving me, and encouraging me. And I will say this, I'm adding this right now. I told the guys this last night also in our men's leadership group. I literally could not do what I do without you to the extent that I do it. So it's because of you. And I know that. So I found a teammate. I found my safety. And literally every room that I walk in, I look for you. Every corner that I come around, my eyes are looking for you. And I know that when I'm with you, I'm good. Especially, and I talked about in social settings like the Vow Renewal with all the people.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking about even at the Vow Renewal, like the party, there were times where I was like alone because you were off doing your people thing. And I'm like looking around like, okay, where is she now? Where is she now? Trying to find a way out of whatever conversation I was to get near you.
Yeah, all the introverts are like, I totally get it, dude.
Yeah. But wherever you are, I feel safe there. I found my travel partner. And think about all the adventures that we've gone on in life. How much fun we've had together. 49 states together, multiple countries. Hopefully someday Hawaii. We're talking about Fiji right now, doing a mission trip to Fiji. And so just having fun, traveling life together, experiencing life together. Even if it's just the little things. We've got some adventures planned in the next month. So going to Virginia to a pastor's conference together. Just going up to Jacksonville. I'm going to be speaking at a school up there for their spiritual emphasis week. Going to Israel. And I just love that we get to live out this adventure together. And I have somebody that I can share all the experiences with. The experiences are great in and of themselves, but they're so much better when you have somebody to experience them with. And so I'm thankful that I found somebody who likes to travel and have adventures. I found my best friend. And I remember saying this. Sorry, Ryan.
Yeah.
Because Ryan has been my best friend who's not Lysandra. But I think about just the fun we have, the jokes, the inside stuff that nobody else knows about. We can just say a word or two or just look at each other in certain moments. And somebody that I can just tell everything to, holding nothing back, and completely share my life with. And then lastly, what I said is I found the love of my life. And I've loved you for like 27 years. And it just grows deeper and deeper every single day. And I'm looking forward to the next 20 years. And then I said I still do also. So I didn't really vow anything new either.
But that's the thing is your vows are about you guys. Your vow renewal is about you guys. Do what you want to do. You're not going to make any mistakes or mess anything up. It's got to be about what you want it to be. That's the right way to do it.
And then Ryan led us in a little saying that, do you still? Mm-hmm. And all the stuff that traditional vows have. And of course, we had to say, I still do. And Lysandra had to think about it.
Yep. But I still did.
Yeah.
And I still
reluctantly, very reluctantly.
I reluctantly still do.
Exactly. So here's a family meeting tonight is just sit down and discuss if you'd ever want to renew your vows. And if either of you do, maybe I would just encourage you to dream about what it would be like.
The dreaming is half the fun.
It really is. Because it leads you into the conversations about your own wedding and your own love story and your life together. And all of those things are bonding experiences that draw you closer to each other. Maybe it's like, we don't really have a desire to do that. But if we did, this is what we would do. Mm-hmm. And so this is something everybody can do, even if you never plan to. I think about our Facebook group when we were talking about renewing vows, and somebody on there posted that he and his wife have no desire to do that, which is fine. But have a conversation about if we did, where would we go? What would we do?
Yeah. And let me just say that if you are thinking about planning your vow renewal, think about the people who are in your life right now who are important to you and make sure you include them. We have some phenomenal friends in our lives right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about Jeff and Sherry. Shelly, our neighbor and best friend ever, is like amazing. She lives right next door and she's a big part of our lives.
Sam and Adrian.
Sam and Adrian are phenomenal people. Adrian got up so early and did the girls' makeups and so that they felt comfortable. And she did such a great job, not only that day, but she also came and did a practice day of makeup on them, which they loved. Like because they adore her.
They spent hours together.
Yeah, we just had fun and including people in your life that are important to you right now. And there were so many others who
Bobby
came and helped.
Kim.
Yeah, Kim was our photographer. But they're also such wonderful friends. And Bobby helped in so many ways, as he always does. He always jumps in and helps however he can. But we have just these amazing people in our lives. So think as you dream and you think about maybe what would you do if you did, include those who are important in your life and make sure they're a part of this day.
So as I mentioned, some of you aren't interested in renewing your vows, but identify your next milestone anniversary. So whatever that may be. For you, maybe your next milestone anniversary is year 3.
Mm-hmm. That's not really a milestone anniversary. It would be 5 or 10 or 15. Yeah,
but
okay. Goes by 5s for whatever reason.
Yeah. So you could do it by 3s if you want. Year 6 could be such an incredible milestone for you. But whatever that is, each share an idea of a great way to celebrate it.
Yes, they should be celebrated.
Maybe you're going to go on a trip or a cruise, or maybe you're going to have a party, some sort of special family celebration. But this week's family meeting is all about talking about your relationship together and celebrating the milestones that you have in life.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for joining us today. Please go and subscribe to the Family Meeting Podcast from your favorite podcast provider. And if you found this information helpful, please share this episode on social media and invite your friends and family to listen in with you.
To find more content information Lysandra and I provide, you can go to our website, familymeeting.org, or email us at info@familymeeting.org. If you'd like to shoot us a text or call us, you can send a voice message at 904-257-3062.
And we want to invite you to join us for our next family meeting. It's going to be much heavier than this one. We are going to discuss the severity and reality of postpartum depression. After giving birth, a lot of women experience this. It can be very difficult. And we're going to share our story with you, but we are also going to share, we've interviewed some other young mothers who have gone through this, and we're going to tell their story as well. So make sure that you tune in next week for this.
Yeah. And one of the things that kind of compounds it is your whole thought process, your whole life is, you have a baby and there's going to be so much joy, so much happiness, so much love. Mm-hmm. That doesn't always happen right away afterward. And so that can really be a heavy burden for some moms to bear. And so I think it'll be a helpful conversation for some to kind of see behind the curtain of what reality is for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And hopefully this will help some people that have dealt with it or might deal with it in the future.
Right.
Thanks for joining us today for this family meeting. Have a great week, everybody. This meeting is adjourned. Nothing's going to stop us now, babe.
That's right. I'm excited to hear from our YouTube viewers about their number of years married and the crazy things they've had to say to their kids. Those are your 2 assignments, so make sure you put something in the comments there. We want to hear from you.
We'd also love for you to be part of the Facebook group.
Yeah,
and
that's great.
Hear from you on there. So,
Family Meeting Online.
Yes, that's
online.
the group, Family Meeting Online. If you just go to our Facebook page, there should be a button that says join group, visit group, something along those lines. You can hop right in. Mm-hmm. But with that, we'll see y'all next time.
Bye.
Later.